Star Trek. TNG's controversial Captain Jellico explained, when fans talk about Star Trek, the next generation, names like Picard, Riker, Data, and Worf come up as beloved icons. But mention Captain Edward Jellico, and you'll find opinions split down the middle. Introduced in the two-part episode, Chain of Command, Jellico wasn't just a temporary captain of the USS Enterprise D. He was a lightning rod for debate, a commander who shook the ship's dynamic to its core. To some, he was a rigid, by-the-book leader who lacked the empathy that made Picard great. To others, he was exactly the kind of hard-nosed realist Starfleet needed during times of crisis. So, who was Captain Jellico, and why does he remain one of TNG's most divisive characters? The man who replaced Picard. Captain Jellico made his debut in Chain of Command, Part I, when Picard was reassigned for a secret mission inside Cardassian space. Starfleet assigned Jellico, a decorated officer known for his strategic mind and discipline, to temporarily take command of the Enterprise. From his first appearance, Jellico made it clear he was not Picard. His leadership style was stark, even jarring. He ordered a complete restructuring of the ship's duty shifts, including adding a fourth shift rotation, had no patience for Riker's casual command approach, and demanded military readiness with brutal efficiency. He even insisted that Counselor Troi wear a proper Starfleet uniform rather than her usual jumpsuit, something many fans, surprisingly, cheered. But what stood out the most was how unfriendly he seemed. There were no Shakespeare quotes or moral musings. No quiet diplomacy. Just orders, tactics, and a sense of urgency. Jellico's version of leadership was one of structure, not sentiment. Why fans were offended at first? Star Trek. The Next Generation had spent 6 years establishing its tone, thoughtful, utopian, and idealistic. Picard embodied that vision. He was calm, cerebral, and respectful of his crew's individuality. Jellico, by contrast, represented the opposite end of the spectrum. His lack of emotional warmth wasn't just a personality trait. It felt like an ideological rejection of everything TNG stood for. Jellico clashed most famously with Commander Riker, accusing him of being insubordinate and unprofessional. Their showdown in the Ready Room in Chain of Command, Part 2, was electric and uncomfortable. Jellico relieved Riker of duty, triggering one of the most contentious power struggles in the series. At the time, many viewers saw Jellico as an outsider who didn't get the Enterprise crew. He was the substitute teacher you couldn't wait to see gone. But as years passed, fan opinions began to shift. A captain built for crisis. In hindsight, Jellico's actions weren't just justified. They may have saved the Federation from war. While Picard was being brutally interrogated by the Cardassians, Jellico was orchestrating a high-stakes diplomatic and military standoff. His no-nonsense style turned out to be perfect for the moment. He outmaneuvered the Cardassians, forced Gul Limerick to stand down, and rescued Picard without firing a shot. More importantly, Jellico didn't need to be liked to be effective. He knew he wasn't stepping into a long-term command. He was there to get results. He wasn't rude without reason. He was efficient. The same coldness that alienated the crew also allowed him to make hard calls under pressure. When viewed from this lens, Jellico isn't a villain. He's a wartime leader doing what had to be done. The Troi uniform controversy. One of the most symbolic changes Jellico made was demanding that Counselor Troi wear a standard Starfleet uniform. While minor on the surface, this choice reflected deeper themes. Troy's usual attire, a jumpsuit that was more casual than professional, represented a softer, psychological approach to leadership. Jellico's insistence on uniforms wasn't about control. It was about presenting a united, disciplined front during a volatile situation. Surprisingly, actress Marina Sirtis later praised this change, saying it finally made Troi feel like a respected officer. Fans have since reevaluated this moment as a subtle but important shift toward equality and professionalism. Jellico's legacy. Captain Jellico only appeared in 2 episodes, but his impact continues to echo through Star Trek discussions. He's been referenced in later shows like Star Trek Prodigy, where he's depicted as an admiral, suggesting that Starfleet valued his contributions. In fact, Jellico might represent a type of leadership that is uncomfortable but necessary. While Picard and his crew personified Starfleet's ideal future, Jellico reminded us that the universe is dangerous and not everyone plays by Federation rules. Sometimes you need a captain who doesn't care if you like him, as long as you follow orders and get the job done. Why he still divides fans. To this day, debates rage online. Was